So this is a Lumineth Venari Alarian Warden. Basically it's a shield elf with a giant spear. I went ahead and primed it black because that's the primer color I have, and then I came over it with a pretty intense the white, kind of doing a little bit of zenithal, but mostly getting the kind of white that we kind of want in the armor spots. And actually I'm going to come in and work with a little bit more white to start off with, to kind of make sure that some of that is as smooth as I actually want it. And I'm a little bit better at doing that with the paintbrush than I am with the airbrush. This is especially important for the parts that I know that I want to be 100%. Like stark white. So all the little like armor panels. If I take the box art as inspiration for this. This is a free model from a couple months ago. And with my backlog and just not getting some stuff done, now I have a little bit of time to look at doing these guys. I want to make sure it's kind of a smooth, because if I end up wanting to use some contrast paints on this, it's going to have to be smooth. So I decided I'm going to end up using Ultramarine's Contrast Blue. Alright, we're going to very lightly it's going to be a nice heavy dark blue, and then I'm going to come in and highlight a little bit of it. I'm going to do kind of a goldish trim on this, or the attempt is going to be a gold trim. So I'll be able to come back and kind of like correct over a few of the mistakes in the area. But he has like some scale stuff there, kind of just do that on all the scales. It's a perfect part to put contrast paint on because it does have a lot of texture to it, and anything with a lot of texture is really good for contrasts because of the way that they are used. Putting on some of the Army Painter blue tone down here for the cloth. Going over that white to kind of using it kind of more as a glaze and probably less of the wash, but still kind of making it where it's kind of a like, it's blue but it's not too blue. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm adding a blue highlight. It's just a standard blue, bright blue. It's going over that ultramarine blue contrast. It's really going to help make it kind of pop and bring up the light points that we kind of want. Alright, now that I have the blue highlight kind of done, I'm going to bring that blue into the little symbol that is on the shield. The symbol that is on the shield is very delicate, and I needed to be really careful to make sure that I only got it exactly where I wanted, because covering up with white is a little bit more difficult than people like to think. In this section, you can see where I'm putting on a real light goldish color. I started it off kind of watery, more watery than I actually kind of wanted. That made it where I needed to do a few more coats of a paint instead of doing too few. Trim is also one of those things that is extremely time consuming to actually do. You'll be surprised at how much trim there actually is on this exact model. After getting all that trim done, I now am moving on to a light brown wash. This is going on the parts that are white that aren't 100% armor plating. My idea behind this was to make it where it looked kind of like cloth, as in it's a cloth robe, and so that's not going to have 100% stark white like I wanted the armor plates to actually be. Here is where I'm putting on the skin color. It's actually a darker skin color instead of like a lighter skin color. It's the Blood Reaver's flesh. I made it a little bit too thin, and you can see that I had to kind of come in and help pull a little bit off. That was kind of pulling where I didn't need that color to actually be. I thought that the dark color would give it a good tone difference. The next part that you see me working on is the highlighting the white, just making sure that it is extra smooth and that it's extra crisp, especially in those areas that I want that highlight to be. I'm mixing in white to the blue highlight that we already have. It's going to make it very light blue. It's going to help add extra contrast to those high raised areas. I'm also starting to put it on the gem areas. That way I can kind of start laying down the darker part of where those are. One of the last few things to get done on this is the brown for the shaft of the spear. It is just a simple brown. I don't want it to take away too much of the actual model. I like to use Thousand Suns blue for kind of turquoisey areas. They work really well for the gems. It adds slightly different blue than what's already kind of there, and I think that's going to help make it pop a little bit extra. And that's kind of the basic steps for what you can do to kind of get this done all in one day. Here are some photos that I have of the model in better light. Hopefully it comes out good in the video. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.